Under aerobic conditions, we can continue forward with our carbons into the mitochondria to finish out the process of cell respiration, which means the release of carbon dioxide and water, and the creation of a lot of energy, chemical energy, in the form of ATP. As long as we have enough oxygen, pyruvate moves into the mitochondrial matrix. So the mitochondria are a double membraned organelle within eukaryotic cells. They have their own DNA, they've got their own ribosomes, their own proteins, which is why there's a theory that the mitochondria was once its own organism. Super cool, total side topic. Within the mitochondria, we have the inner membrane space. We will talk about the importance of this inner membrane space in another video, because this is where we start to build that ATP surplus. And then we've got these cristae. Those are the folding that we see with our mitochondria. And then the matrix is the mitochondria's version of the cytoplasm. So this next series of reactions occur in the cytoplasm. We are going to be moving into the cytoplasm to complete what's called the citric acid cycle. This is the last stop for our carbons, which means this is where all of the carbon dioxide is produced and then would be released into the bloodstream and exhaled throughout our lungs. The products we get from the citric acid cycle then get shuttled to the electron transport chain, which is in a different video. Under aerobic conditions, we are able to continue forward with cell respiration. So now we're moving into the mitochondria, as we saw in the previous slide. We're going to be spending our time in the matrix for our citric acid cycle, and then we will move to the membranes within the mitochondria to look at how ATP is made. So the pyruvate has moved from the cytoplasm through the outer membrane of the mitochondria, the inner membrane space, and the inner membrane of the mitochondria into the matrix. Okay, so here pyruvate is going to undergo what's called the link reaction. I think of it as linking glycolysis to the citric acid cycle. I don't know if that's why they named it. It's just how I remember it. So what happens in this process is our pyruvate gets broken down into acetyl-CoA. Acetyl is the organic compound that we are tracking. Our acetyl group is right here because acete means two carbons. The CoA is an organic compound that is needed to help the enzyme. So it's a cofactor, a coenzyme, to help bring acetyl to the citric acid cycle. So the remainder of this is that structure of that CoA. You don't need to know that. If you notice that we have removed this COO or CO2 to be able to put on the CoA compound, and CO2 is released. If you remember, back when we were talking about primary alcohol oxidation, where a primary alcohol undergoes an oxidation to an aldehyde, and the aldehyde can undergo an oxidation to a carboxylic acid. And then I had mentioned ... that the carboxylic acid can be oxidized to CO2. This is where it happens. So that cleaves, and the enzyme that does this is called decarboxylase, so to remove the carboxyl group. Don't need to know that, it's just too much fun. This carbon is undergoing more oxidation because it's going to add one more carbon-oxygen bond when it gets cleaved. Here is that acetyl group that we see down in acetyl-CoA. So cool. Because that carbon's being oxidized, something needs to be reduced. Here we have that high energy electron carrier again. So NAD plus gets reduced into NADH. So it's collecting those electrons. The difference here is this NADH, because it's in the mitochondria, is going to be collected and shuttled to the electron transport chain to make ATP. So we want to move all of those high energy electron carriers towards the inner membrane of the mitochondria. Once we make our acetyl-CoA, we can now move into that circular metabolic pathway called the citric acid cycle, or the Krebs cycle, or the tricarboxylic acid cycle, or TCA. Yep, okay. We can't just have one name. So these cycles are just going to be occurring within the matrix of the mitochondria. Remember that in that circular metabolic pathway that we are just going to keep reforming our original compounds. The original compound that we track is oxaloacetate, which is a 4-carbon compound. So acetyl-CoA, the CoA is going to interact with the enzyme that is at this arrow that is going to bring the oxaloacetate and the 2-carbon acetyl group. So we get this 4 plus this 2 to make a 6-carbon compound, citric acid, hence the citric acid cycle, or citrate in its ion form. Now that that acetyl group is in there, that CoA will go and pick up another acetyl group, and it just keeps moving back and forth to shuttle. It is essentially a shuttle. It's shuttling acetyl from one place to the next. So now within the cycle, there's a lot of shifting and rearranging of bonds. I'm not going to ask you details about any of this, but the products. I want you to know what comes out of this process. So iso, or the isomer of citrate, another 6-carbon compound, but it's from isocitrate to alpha-ketoglutarate that we start to see some action. Now, if you see, isocitrate is a 6-carbon compound. Alpha-ketoglutarate is a 5-carbon compound. I wonder what happens. I bet you there's a carboxylic acid on isocitrate because it's actually isocitric acid. So there's a COO, which means that the carbon, that carboxylic acid, gets cleaved and released as CO2. So that carbon is undergoing oxidation, which means NAD plus gets reduced into NADH. It's like a repeating pattern. That's all it is a repeating pattern. Then this alpha-ketoglutarate becomes, that one I can't pronounce, acetyl-CoA. Yep. That is now a 4-carbon compound. So I'm guessing, was that really awkward? So I'm guessing that alpha-ketoglutarate has a carboxylic acid that can get cleaved. That carbon gets oxidized into CO2, which means NAD plus gets formed into NADH. Magic. We have our 2 CO2s released here. We had a CO2 released in the link reaction. That means per pyruvate. And remember, a pyruvate is a 3-carbon compound. 3 CO2s were released. So per glucose, that means we have 6 CO2 being released. That is the end of our carbon journey. But it's not the end of our electrons, because guess what? Chemistry is all about the electrons, as we know. So now we undergo a lot of just rearranging and moving bonds, moving electrons around so we can maximize what we can get out of this cycle. So through a series of other reactions, we get some ATP. Here, because we're not taking a phosphate off of a compound like we'd seen with G3P to pyruvate, we are attaching and free-floating inorganic phosphate. So that's what that PI stands for, is inorganic phosphate. It's just floating around. We're going to take that with ADP to make ATP. And then we're going to do some more rearranging. We have another high energy electron carrier FAD, and so it becomes FADH2. Then we get some more rearranging and ultimately another NADH. So big products out of this cycle is we get a lot of high energy electron carriers and a little bit of ATP. It is these high energy electron carriers that are going to then move to the electron transport chain in the inner membrane of the mitochondria, because this is where the electrons end up. This is where water is formed and where our ATP comes from.